were you in fact denied parenting time on those 3 days?
I was.
And tell me what happened.
I drove up Jackson as I always do. No one came. I'm always there 20 minutes early. I stay at least until about 6:45 or 7. Every time they did not appear. A couple of times was the weekend of the NFL draft. I believe, the first incident where they just flat out said she's not coming. I let them know, like, as per usual, because this has been a thing going on 3 years and it's continued to be since, that they can't do this. They didn't care. The plaintiff doesn't care, which is why she's continued not to respond to any of the denials. And it's been like that ever since. I'm supposed to go get her Friday. I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing.
Okay. Tell me, I do know when I looked at the petition, I saw that you did get parenting time back on spring break. Is that correct?
Yes, it was my year per the order.
Okay. Well, just tell me, how did the spring break parenting time go?
I didn't get to go with her, but I got to send Kinley to Pigeon Forge. She got to ride a bunch of rides, swim in a heated pool. Before she left, we had to do most of the usual stuff we do, go watch movies, play games with her cousins. And when she came back, got to do more of the same. She was really broken down because the 2 days before her spring break started, it was her birthday, and she was bawling her eyes out because she said her mom didn't do anywhere near as much for her as she did for her other 2 siblings. Okay. So even though I couldn't go, I made sure she could.
Okay, so you were in Pigeon Forge?
I didn't get to go. No, I just sent her. She went for about 4 days. Okay. I paid for her to go.
So you weren't with the child at Pigeons then?
No, she went with my mother and her family. My family. I had to work, unfortunately.
Okay, so you could take her during that time?
No, I paid for her to go. You don't get to go on the trip she goes on. I paid for them, but I have to work usually. I just make sure that my child gets to have fun.
Okay. Well, when I started this out is asking, did you have parenting time on spring break? You said yes, and I asked how it went. Well, you weren't there.
All right, guys. Today we are stepping into a courtroom case that immediately feels personal and emotional. A father begins explaining how he repeatedly drove to pick up his daughter for visitation, only to be left waiting with nobody showing up. As he calmly describes missed weekends and ignored court orders, you can already sense years of frustration building beneath the surface. But the moment he starts talking about spring break and trying to make sure his daughter still had fun despite everything, the tone of the case completely changes.
I was there for the beginning part, and like I said, she was only gone for 4 days. I couldn't miss work to go. I wanted to make sure my child went.
So you were there for how many days with the child?
I had her I think I had her from that Friday to following Sunday. So I probably was with her for 6 of those days. The other 4, she was in Pigeon Forge with my family.
Okay. And during the time, if you had her for 6 days, during the 2 days that you had her, how did things go?
Amazing as always. Me and Kinley don't ever have a bad time. I can't recall a time where we had. And
what did you do and what happened? Just tell me a little bit, explain what the relationship was with the child at that time.
Me and Kinley have a great relationship. She's my best friend. I've attested to that in court plenty of times. We watch movies, we play video games together. She has cousins here who are very close to her in age that I take her to spend time with. They usually either I go over to my cousin's house so she can play video games with them and watch movies, do different things. Or I take her different places. We also own a hot dog cart where we do a lot of kid-friendly events that she gets to go to for free. That weekend, we weren't running a hot dog cart, but we went to see a couple of movies. Other than that, she shops at Five Below nearly every day. We went to do that. Pretty much the usual thing we do is just whatever Kinley wants to do and hang out.
When you were with the child, explain to me, did you I guess, demonstrate to her? Was there a relationship with her? I mean, were there any hugs, kisses? How would you explain any of that?
She's my daughter. We hug. There's nothing other than that. Usual thing, she usually grips me as soon as she gets in the car. She'll hug me immediately before I can even get an arm around her. Other than that, I would say no. She's my one and only child. I've been in her life since she was 1 year old. We're Other than that, there was nothing out of the ordinary. There usually never is.
No, I'm just wondering if there's any signs of affection and that.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
she's my.
Yeah, I don't
She
know.
calls her. Oh no, she calls herself Josh Jr. I just saw some pictures of her recently where I'm like, that's my twin. We're extremely close. She steals a lot of my clothes. A lot. Last year when I had to pick her up from school, she was in a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air jersey that she stole out of my closet. We're two peas in a pod. That's why I've gone through these lengths to spend time with her because I miss her terribly.
Anything else that you'd like to tell me?
Buckle up, guys, because this next section reveals just how emotionally attached this father is to his daughter. Instead of focusing on legal arguments, he starts painting a picture of everyday life with her, from movies and video games to family outings and funny little memories. The courtroom slowly shifts from a custody dispute into something far more personal. And as he describes hugs, inside jokes, and how close they are, it becomes clear he's trying to convince the judge that this relationship is real, meaningful, and worth protecting.
Sir.
This has continued into the summer. There have been 3 more denials since that have been filed by Ms. Finch that have already been sent off. Ms. Claywell has ignored all of them. She has told me on multiple occasions she does not care what the court does. She will not let me see Kinley when she feels like it. There are witnesses who I've brought in who can attest to this. There are videos, phone recordings, constant harassment that I've received. At one point I had to buy Kinley a phone because she refused to let me speak to her. They then destroyed the phone because they kept saying I was trying to track them. Because we're so close, would tell you, I'm not driving to Battle Creek unless, again, you guys order me to, or unless I have to pick her up for something. So the fact that they keep doing this to isolate her from her entire family, I just don't understand it. Kinley loves football. They made sure she missed the NFL draft. I had tickets for her to go to a wrestling show that she begged me to go to. She was really upset when she didn't get to go to the one that was in Detroit last. So I promised her I would take her to the one in Toledo. I had the tickets. They were very cheap, only $50. And I had these ready for it. I haven't seen her since. She's going to be devastated when she realized she missed all of these things. And Miss Claywell is aware of all this. So I don't understand why this continues to happen, but I'm hoping that it's going to be rectified.
Okay. Ms. Claywell, you have opportunity to ask Mr. Sykes any questions if you wish. No questions? Okay, Ms. Sykes, I'm going to have you raise your right hand and be sworn in, and then we'll proceed.
I do.
Ma'am, you've heard Mr. Sykes give a rendition of what happened over spring break, as well as the denials of the 3 weekends, and apparently there are 3 additional weekends that have been denied since the front of the court filed that initial petition. What's your response to his?
All right, guys, the tension starts rising fast here because the father now accuses a mother of repeatedly ignoring court orders and intentionally isolating the child from him and his entire family. He talks about missed football events, canceled wrestling plans, destroyed communication, and claims the situation has only gotten worse over time. But just when his emotional testimony reaches its peak, the mother finally gets a chance to respond, and the direction of the entire courtroom battle is about to change dramatically.
So he is correct in the fact that Kinley has not been out for her visitation since spring break. That is primarily the choice, not only the choice, but refusal from the child to go for the visitation. The child has adamantly refused, has threatened to run away and go to my parents' house and hide if I try to take her there. She wouldn't come with us today, even into the courthouse, scared that she was going to have to go with him at the end of the session. So I had to have a babysitter arranged, and has just been displaying some very out of the ordinary behavior that I haven't seen before. So this newfound rejection of her going out there is something that I would just like to have explored. I don't have a reason behind the fact that it's coming from a child of the reasons why she does not want to go out there, but I have done my best to try to get some type of reunification going. I do ask every single time it is his awarded time if she would be willing to go, and we do have those discussions, and I try to encourage that. He most recent occasion that we were speaking of, the day that the first weekend that she missed visitation was the day that she refused to go. She told me flat out, I am not going out there. And I told her that we don't have a choice, that it was the court's decision. And she told me that's when she told me that she was going to run away. I handled the situation in which I contacted Mr. Sykes to let him know that there was, I guess, a modification in what Kinley had originally agreed to in the visitation. We did go to crisis intervention with Summit Point and had a discussion with them. Kinley did answer the phone when Mr. Sykes gave us a call to try to speak to him to explain why she did not want to come. And he screamed through the phone at her, "Give the phone to your mom." At that point, she was no longer willing to speak to him. She locked herself in her room for 2 hours, and it took me a while to get her to even defrost from that situation. So ongoing, we've been doing therapy, we've been doing medication, we've been doing numerous things to try to reconcile some type of either relationship or conversation before she is expected to just go out there without any type of, I guess, witnesses or observation.
Buckle up, guys, because this part introduces a completely different side of the story. The mother admits the child has stopped attending visitation, but claims it's a child's own decision, not Hayes. What follows are shocking allegations involving fear, emotional distress, therapy, and even threats to run away rather than go with her father. The courtroom suddenly becomes much more serious as discussions about mental health and emotional behavior enter the case, forcing everyone to question what is really happening behind closed doors.
Sykes explained how the parenting time went over spring break.
Yes.
Sounds like that it was a good spring break. It sounded like it was a good time. So
it was actually the weekend prior that triggered it. I encouraged her over and over and over, and I feel like it was like my adamancy of her going to have that vacation with her family. The weekend prior, at drop off, she got into the vehicle being our vehicle, and just broke down in tears. Wouldn't really go over or in depth explain what was going on. We asked what was wrong, and she just said, "I'm not going back out there," and wouldn't really open up. She hasn't had a thorough conversation in why she doesn't want to go out there, aside from him being upset that she cut her hair. She also has been demonstrating a little bit more like tomboyish behavior, and said that her father threatened to keep her away from her cousins if she continued to act like a boy, and that she needed to act like a girl. She does suffer from gender dysphoria, which is documented through her therapist, and we go to counseling on an ongoing basis to work through that diagnosis. So just those small comments can have a big impact on how Kinley is feeling and her mental health at this point. More embarrassingly, she's coming into maturity and is about to start her period. She does not want to start her period with her father. She would like to go through that experience with her mother, which I respect. I have no control. I have no knowledge to know when exactly that will occur. And I don't know if she's going to change her mind.
So what you're saying is then we never let her go with her father because we don't know when that's going to happen.
Absolutely not. I am totally open into any type of reunification process. I just don't think it should be abrupt and she should be expected to just resume as normal. There is obviously something triggering this immediate, yes, I'm willing to go, and now I'm not going. And I don't have a clear answer of what that is. I did bring the medical records from Summit Point that outlined what Kinley had to say about the experience.
Yeah, that's hearsay, so I can't take any reports of what the kid says. Anything else, man?
I don't think so.
All right, guys, this courtroom battle just became even more controversial. The mother now claims the problems began after a specific visitation weekend, saying the child returned home crying and refusing to go back. But then the discussion takes an unexpected turn into gender identity, emotional triggers, and personal insecurities as she explains why the child allegedly feels uncomfortable around her father. The judge immediately starts challenging parts of her reasoning, and you can feel the tension growing with every answer she gives.
Mr. Sykes, do you have any questions of the plaintiff?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Claywell, you're aware that my mother is a healthcare professional and Kinley has been going to therapy for years. How is it that you are treating her without any of her other family, with her, other side of her family's mental health history?
If that wasn't provided to the medical health provider, that has nothing to do with me. I can only treat what I'm in control of. So we do her mental health treatment as I feel you should while she's in your care.
Understood. And I definitely understand that. But, there have been times before our relationship broke down where we could have, again, easily worked together. Or if you didn't want to speak to me directly, you could have spoken to her or other people.
Sir, this is a time to ask questions, not make statements.
No problem. I apologize. The only other question I have is, when I did make contact, you stated none of this was going on. Instead, every time I tried to make contact, none of this was stated. Why is that?
Why is
all the information that you gave as to why Kinley was not coming, you told us none of this was provided.
I actually filed a mediation through the court so that we didn't have to speak directly with each other, since we tend not to come to mutual agreements easily. The day that we had a disagreement on when would be the next time you would have your visitation is the day that I personally came in and asked for a mediation so that we could have a discussion and try to figure out a happy medium for all of the parties involved, hopefully including Kinley.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other, I guess I'll ask you, Ms. Claywell, any other witnesses?
As to the
just asking if you have witnesses.
No, I do.
Okay. Mr. Sykes, do you have any other witnesses?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any closing argument, Mr. Sykes?
Yes, please.
Buckle up, guys, because a father finally gets the opportunity to directly question the mother himself. Instead of backing down, he immediately begins pressing her about therapy decisions, communication failures, and why none of these serious concerns were ever shared with him before visitation suddenly stopped. The exchanges become awkward, tense, and increasingly emotional as the judge occasionally steps in to keep things under control. At this point, it's obvious both sides are completely convinced they are the reasonable parent in this situation.
Sir.
Go ahead.
Ms. Claywell has, for several years, before Kinley entered any sort of puberty or had any proposed gender issues, has been keeping her from me unless she decides that she wants to do something that needed a babysitter, which is why I got a parenting time order in the first place. The child she is describing, I have never seen in my life, as you can attest from discussing her time during spring break. She gets literally whatever she wants. She will go, Dad, Grandma, get me this, get me that. Even if on the rare chance I go, hey, you don't need that, she'll just go to her grandma or her grandpa, get it, and then poke fun at me the entire time because she got it. This is someone who I've had the pleasure to start teaching how to make films, who I've gotten to share a bunch of the things I grew up watching with her, and she shares me things that she loves. And we've always bonded closer and closer over that. Somehow, despite her mom always putting friction or between us on proposed reasons why she can't come. None of these things, I've never seen any of this from Kenny. I've never threatened her. She doesn't get in trouble. The only time that I discussed with her any haircut was because, and this should be noted in the court because I brought it up and brought pictures, when Kinley had longer hair, her mother refused to comb it. She would come down here with either a hat on or nothing on it. It's matted like a bird's nest, as if birds are nesting in my child's head. Kinley's tender-headed, so she didn't love getting her hair done. But, I would usually sit with her, help my mom do it, pay for someone to do it and sit with her, hold her hand when it hurts. And every time she loved it. Ms. Claywell's reasoning for never doing her hair was because she's not African-American and she doesn't know how to do that. So that's why she cut her hair off. Ms. Claywell has 2 other African-American children who don't have this problem with their hair. And that is why I was upset, because I had been talking to Kinley about, hey, you got to keep your hair up even when you cut it, because she still doesn't pick it out. She doesn't put any oil on the things she has to do. It doesn't matter if her hair is cut or not. There are plenty of people that I know, women with shorter cut hair. Kinley loves TLC and her favorite is T-Bot. She's a woman with short cut hair like Kinley. There's been no issue with Kinley's haircut other than me being upset with her mother about not keeping her hair up, regardless of what the style is. Okay, and this is going back to Kinley's hygiene. These are all things I've gone over with Miss Claywell. Miss Claywell is adamant about me not seeing her, even though I provide things that Miss Claywell doesn't, and she knows that. But she kept her out of school 3 days a week all year. And I'm the one who has to, from an hour and a half away, send Kinley's homework in while she's on spring break while helping her do it. So it's just that if these have been lies that Miss Claywell just spews, if all of this was a thing, she could have just responded to all the denial. She hasn't responded to any of them. None of them. As recent as this week, I just got one. She refused to respond to it. I just want to spend time with my child. Like I said, she missed out on the events that I know she wants. She's going to be upset she didn't get to see Patrick Mahomes' championship rings. And that's not my fault. And these reasons Ms. Claywell is creating are simply not true.
Thank you. Ms. Claywell, any closing?
All right, guys, this may be the most explosive section of the entire hearing. The father launches into a passionate defense of his relationship with his daughter and forcefully denies nearly every accusation made against him. What starts as a response about parenting quickly spirals into arguments about hair care, hygiene, manipulation, and years of alleged interference by the mother. There's even an uncomfortable courtroom laughter moment mixed into the tension, making the entire exchange feel chaotic, emotional, and deeply personal.
I would just like to state that he's proven my points as to my concern about why Kinley is choosing she's not able, but she is choosing not to continue to see and have these visitations without some type of conversation ahead of time about what she is going to expect when she does go out there. All of the behavior is, I've been complying with the order up until now. Now my child has made a drastic change that concerns me. I have come to the courts. I would like to come up with some type of agreement, arrangement, anything where my child feels comfortable in returning. I have no idea on a time frame, which is the only reason that I haven't had a chance to respond to the most recent complaint for parenting time, because I wanted to have a discussion now to see if the court order would be changing or amending in the future, or if we had come to some type of arrangement here today that would satisfy all of the concerns all of us have. The time that she is missing, if it is ordered by the court, I'm more than willing to have her make that up at a later time throughout the year and to provide those opportunities. But I also need that to be decided on and worked towards, hopefully kind of working up towards that and not just resuming the court order as expected.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Sykes?
I would just plead with you, sir, to please order Ms. Claywell to bring me or bring my child to me as soon as possible, so I can at least salvage somewhat of the summer I have left with her. Okay. You know, this has been hard on me to a degree you can't possibly understand, honestly.
Well, in this particular case, court has heard the testimony as well as the argument by the parties. I will tell you, in these cases, credibility is always a consideration for the court. Oftentimes, the parties will allege that the other party was not truthful or was lying, and the court has found that basically inconsistencies in testimony doesn't mean that someone has necessarily lied. It can occur as a result of the witness's background, perception, bias, misunderstanding, or simply by mistake. In this case, when inconsistencies occur, the court will attempt to reconcile those by evidence or other testimony. In this case, we didn't have other testimony, but the court will note in this case that there was an order of February 23rd, 2021, order regarding parenting time and child support, which awarded to the defendant alternating weekends, alternating spring break with the defendant to have the child in even number of years, one half the summer and alternating weeks, one half Christmas, as well as alternating holidays. It's alleged that the child did not go to parenting time on the 3 weekends it was stated, and he also testified that there was an additional 3 weekends since that time, or additional 3 denials, I'm sorry, not necessarily weekends. In this case, the court notes I went back and did a thorough review of the file in preparation for this proceeding. The court notes that back on January 5, 2022, there was an order for makeup time requiring the plaintiff to give 4 additional overnights for the 2 weekends that were missed. That on 2/8/2023, plaintiff was found in contempt of court, and there were ordered 4 overnights for 2 weekends missed. That on February 28, 2023, there was an order for makeup parenting time for 2 overnights, 1 weekend. And then again on January 26, 2024, there was an order for makeup parenting time for 2 overnights. So a total of that, we had basically 12 overnights of makeup parenting time over the past now 2.5 years. Reason I look at that is because the plaintiff in this case has stated that, well, she didn't know that there's basically something new, there's something up, she doesn't know the reasons, she's tried to encourage, and she did on closing arguments, she said she will comply with the orders, and she says she's complied with the orders until now. Well, clearly, from the prior contempt findings, the prior makeup parenting time, she has not complied with the order. The court will find in this case that she has not complied with the order at the current time for these additional 3 denials and additional 6 overnights. The court will hold her in contempt. And Ms. Claywell, what I'm going to do is, this is a history. This isn't a one-time. It isn't something that's occurred, as you say, because of the child's gender dysphoria. This has happened when she was 9 years old, before any of that happened, until the current time. What the court is going to do, I am remanding you to the custody of the Calhoun County Sheriff, where you will remain until the child goes for parenting time. So however long that takes. So what you need to do is you need to make arrangements for the child to go with her father. And at that time, when the defendant confirms that the child is with him, then you will be able to be released from jail. And in this particular case, because it's a 3 denial, I did not know the other 3 were. That's basically an additional 6 days. So what we'll do, sir, in this matter, is when the child is returned to you, you still have your alternating weeks in the summer. When the child is returned to you, you are entitled to 1 week of the plaintiff's parenting time. So when you first get her, you'll be entitled to your week, then the other week. So effectively, you'll have 3 weeks in a row before you would have to turn the child back over.
Understood.
Okay. That will be the order of the court, and you can go, ma'am, you can go with the sheriff, and hopefully you can get in touch with somebody to get the child turned over.
Buckle up, guys, because this final section delivers a shocking payoff to everything we've heard so far. After listening to both sides, the judge carefully reviews years of prior court orders, missed visitation exchanges, and previous contempt findings before making his decision. As the courtroom realizes where the ruling is heading, the atmosphere instantly changes. Then comes a bombshell moment. The mother is held in contempt and ordered into custody until the child is returned to the father. If you enjoyed this courtroom breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.